Hello everyone, I'm Emanuela Pizzolla, a third year PhD student, and today I will present my project called Understanding Fatigue in Parkinson's Disease. All of us, at least once in our life, have experienced a sensation of overwhelming tiredness and exhaustion. Usually we label this sensation under the term fatigue. But what is really fatigue? Well, in a scientific point of view, we can define fatigue as a subjective sensation of overwhelming tiredness and lack of mental and physical energy. Fatigue could be experienced by everyone, but span from a normal condition in which we can easily pass fatigue through some rest to a pathological condition in which we have an intense and persistent sensation of fatigue. This is the case, for example, in Parkinson's disease patients that usually report this sensation as a debilitating symptom. In fact, at least half of all of Parkinson's disease population report this pathological fatigue as a major symptom in their experience. Despite the prevalence of this symptom, very little is known about the mechanisms that underlie this sensation. A recent model, the sensory attenuation model of fatigue, tried to explain fatigue in the framework of an impairment of sensory attenuation. But what is sensory attenuation? Well, we can define it as a perceptual phenomenon whereby the sensation that we produce on ourselves feel less intense compared to externally generated sensation. So when we do something on ourselves, we feel it as less intense. This could be better understood if we think about our inability to tickle ourselves. When we try to tickle ourselves, we cannot do it, but if someone touches us with the same intensity, we feel it as more intense and we laugh. Well, sensory attenuation seems also to be responsible of our brain ability to predict the consequence of our action, so to represent this brain ability. And in fact, in the sensory attenuation model of fatigue, fatigue could be understood as an impairment in this ability to predict the consequence of our action. In fact, when we have an intact sensory attenuation, we are able to predict the consequence of our action, and we are able to predict the amount of effort needed to perform an action. But when we have a reduced sensory attenuation, so we have also an impairment in our ability to predict the consequence of our action, we have a reduced ability to predict the amount of effort needed to perform an action. And for this reason, the majority of our action will be perceived as effortful, and we have so a higher perception of fatigue, of effort. That is the basis of the sensation of fatigue. My research aim is so the one to explore the pathophysiology of fatigue sensation in Parkinson's disease patients, and specifically to find out if Parkinson's patients with the symptom of fatigue also have a reduction in sensory attenuation. To do it, I use this force matching task, that is a commonly used task in which we ask participants to reproduce as accurately as they can a force delivered on their finger, and they should do it in two conditions, the direct and the indirect condition. In the direct condition, they press directly on their finger, and in the indirect condition, they use an external device. In the direct condition, usually we have an overshoot of the target force due to sensory attenuation. In fact, when we press on ourselves, we attenuate the sensation on our finger, and for this reason, we need to press harder to reproduce the target force. Well, this is what happened in patients without the symptom of fatigue and healthy control, in which we have a classic sensory attenuation pattern, in which we have a higher force estimation in the direct compared to the indirect condition. So healthy control and participants without the symptom have overshoot the force in the direct condition, but are quite precise in indirect condition. But this is not the case in Parkinson's patients with the symptom of fatigue, in which we have quite the same performance, both in direct and indirect condition. Well, this seems to prove for the first time that patients with the symptom of fatigue also have a selective impairment in sensory attenuation. And this brings us new evidence of the role that sensory attenuation play in the pathophysiology of fatigue in Parkinson's disease. All this new evidence help us to better understand the mechanisms that underlie fatigue, in order to be able in the future to develop new intervention and treatment that could be affected on the could have an effect on this debilitating symptom. With this, I conclude my presentation and I want to thank you all.